Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Happy Saturday or Sunday. I'm not actually sure what day this video is going up. As I'm sure you know, I am fully transitioning to my fall reading TBR, and this video I'm super excited about because we are going to be reading some fall-coded romances. I know we're reading 2 for sure, and then I might try to find another one to throw in here. We'll just see how the week goes. So in this video, I'm going to be reading My Roommate is a Vampire, which I think is just like a really campy romance about this girl who is kind of like a struggling artist and this vampire guy who is looking for a roommate. She ends up moving in with him and teaching him about modern life because I think he has like missed a long period of time and he needs someone to teach him about like modern society. And then obviously they're gonna fall in love. And then we're also going to be reading This Spells Love by I think Kate Robb. I can't remember for sure. And this is about a girly who like casts a spell to forget about her ex-boyfriend who she just broke up with. And in the process, she ends up kind of doing like a switch and she wakes up in kind of a parallel life where she ends up like not knowing her best friend who she's actually in love with. So they're gonna like fall in love throughout this story and I don't know. Realize that they should have been together all along, I guess. So that's what we're reading this week. I'm gonna go ahead and start, I think, with My Roommate is a Vampire. I have both of the audiobooks checked out right now, so I can't wait to see what that one's all about. I know a lot of people maybe don't love this book, but I think I'm gonna love this book. So let's get started. So I just got home from work and I'm about 60% of the way through My Roommate is a Vampire, and y'all, I am loving it. It is super goofy, unserious, campy, definitely obviously have to suspend reality. I was kind of looking at some Goodreads reviews when I was just marking the book like as reading on Goodreads, and it seems like a lot of people are having the issue where they're like, the male character feels so unrealistic, I can't suspend my disbelief to believe that he's like behaving this way. I'm like, girl, he's a vampire. You're already having to suspend your disbelief. Why are we being serious and nitpicky about how he's behaving as a character? Like, just go with it. The vibe is supposed to be campy, kitschy, silly, goofy, funny, and it's not supposed to be anything more than that. Like, it's not that serious. Let's calm down and just enjoy having a fun little silly good time. Our vampire bro's name is Frederick, and he also has like another vampire friend who is kind of our comedic relief. The whole book is kind of comedic relief, honestly. It's just a comedy in general. Frederick's friend Reginald is kind of laughing stock of the book, and like I love him for it. Our main girly, don't remember her name at this moment, will remember when we wrap up this book, or maybe at some point in the clip I'm talking about her. She is a struggling artist, can't afford to pay her bills, doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, which honestly, same. She just happens to stumble across a listing on, I think, Craigslist for this room for rent, right? That's the original pitch of the book, for like $200 a month in Chicago, which is obviously insanely cheap. She bites, she goes, she sees the house. And at first, Frederick is kind of keeping his vampirism a secret, but he's behaving super weird, like doesn't have any idea what's going on in modern society. Respectfully, his kitchen does not have any cooking utensils, devices, because he doesn't eat food. And so she's like looking to make a sandwich in the first couple chapters after she's moved in, and she's like, where are your pots and pans? And he's like, oh, I'm having them repaired. And she's like, bro, what? But he's seriously endearing at the same time because he goes to Pottery Barn or like Crate and Barrel or something. Is that it? Crate and Barrel? I don't know. I don't shop for expensive kitchen devices. I'm pretty sure he goes to Pottery Barn and buys like these super fancy high-end saucepans for her, frying pans, a waffle maker, and he's just constantly doing these little romantic gestures. Our main girlie's love language is very much like gift giving, and so she's eating it up. And then they're also kind of taking a spin on The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, where originally they're like leaving notes for each other and getting to know each other that way. There's just lots of fun elements of the story happening that I'm loving so far. So I'm at the point where she has realized that he's a vampire, which is kind of our like middle conflict, but not a huge deal. And I'm excited to finish this up tonight, so I'll check in with you guys when I have an update on the end of the book. Hey cuties, I have great news. I just finished My Roommate is a Vampire and I'm giving it 4 stars. I thought it was so fun, so silly. The third act conflict I actually really loved because it wasn't anything between our two main characters. Instead, it was like external vampiric forces that like kind of caused this third act conflict, and I just really appreciated the way that it was done because so many times I have a huge issue with a third act conflict in any romance in general. But I think something that these kind of like lightly paranormal romances do so well is that they usually involve like the paranormal circumstances within the third act conflict, so it doesn't feel like a miscommunication thing or like just the characters being stupid, and I just love that in a romance. So this did that great. And again, it wasn't something that we were trying to take seriously or really invest in like the realness of the characters, right? This is obviously very intentional from the get-go that this is supposed to be like dumb and stupid and goofy and silly, and it's just supposed to make you have a fun time. I thought the ending was really cute and well done. And I liked the focus that we also got on our main girlie's outside life. I actually don't remember her name, so I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna find it, and then I'm gonna resume. Our main girl's name is Cassie, and she's like a struggling artist, which I already told you all about. But we really get like a vivid picture of what her art looks like and why she's passionate about it. And we also follow her kind of trying to find a career in art somewhere, and like the struggles that accompany that. And so I thought that that was a really great aspect of the story. And then Frederick overall as a character, just hilarious, just absolutely cracking me up. The way that he phrases things is obviously in this like very old-timey language, and like his fashion is old-timey, and so he's trying to update all of that, and just the process that he's going through as Cassie is helping him figure out all of these things is so funny. There's like a distinct scene when he like researches Taylor Swift before they go to this party because he's like discerned that she's very popular among people in their 20s. And so he starts just like randomly spitting Taylor Swift facts at this party, and it was just so funny. So we love a good little Taylor Swift reference as well. And overall, just such a great little campy time. I really did have the time of my life reading this book. So I'm gonna move on to The Spell's Love, and I'll check in with you guys when I have an update on that. As far as life updates, honestly, I've got nothing for you. So this vlog is probably going to be like super heavy reading focus and virtually no personal life updates at all. Oh, actually though, this is random. I did get my cats an automatic feeder. It's sitting right here. And it's great, and I think the portions are good, and like I like how easy it was to set up. Like all of that was great, but it does make a noise when it drops the food into the bowl to like remind the cats that it's time to eat, you know what I mean? Tinkerbell absolutely hates it. Last night we like did a test run, so I just set the feeder to feed in like 5 minutes or whatever, and when it dropped the food out and the little like noise happened, Tinkerbell got so mad and she started growling at it, so I need to figure out how to turn that off. But otherwise, seems great. It works well, I think. That's literally the only life update I have for you. So anyway, I'll see you when I have an update on This Spell's Love. Hi friends, I just got back from farmer's market, and I thought we could do a little farmer's market haul, and then we could talk about This Spell's Love. So I got my favorite jam from my favorite jam guy, spicy huckleberry jalapeno jam. 10 out of 10, would recommend. I mean, you can't get this specific jam anywhere unless you live where I live, but amazing jam. And then I also got some honeyberries because they're in season right now. If you've never had a honeyberry before, you're missing out so hard. I don't really know how to describe them to you. They look like a blueberry, but they taste like a kiwi maybe? Not really. That's the closest thing I can pitch to you, but I love these babies. They're so good. They're just like this awkward, long little blueberry, but they don't taste like a blueberry. I also got some flowers at farmer's market. These are so cute. Don't look at my nails. They need to be redone desperately. $5, comes with a jar. Absolutely stunning. Gonna look so good on my counter. I got a bouquet of flowers from my work when I left earlier this week. Was my last day, and they ordered me some flowers. They're sitting over yonder. I'm not gonna go get them, but my home is just full of fresh flowers now, which is so fun. And then I couldn't go downtown to farmers market and not stop into the bookstore. I got a blind date with a book, which I have since unwrapped and actually filmed a intro for because I'm doing a video for this book. I got A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. Obviously, again, this was a blind date with a book, so I wasn't sure what I was getting into. Horror book, haunted house, playwright with her group of actors there practicing. Haunted houses being creepy, you get the vibes. And then I was so shocked to see this at my bookstore because I feel like books like this are not very popular in the town where I live in. Like, horror books just aren't carried a lot at my bookstore unless I specifically request them to be, because we just don't live in a town with a lot of horror readers. Like, it's mostly like old people in my town and they're not going to get books like this. But I got Little Eyes, which is that book that I feel like has been getting quite a bit of buzz lately about the like little Furby like toys that have cameras in them, and like you don't know who's on the other end and all the kids have them. Just a really interesting discussion on the repercussions of technology without fully understanding it from what I've gathered from the synopsis. It's nice and short. Like, I love the size of this little book and I'm just so glad to have found this, and it was 50% off, so I got it for $9. Isn't that so exciting? Anyway, now we can talk about The Spell's Love, which I'll quickly remind you we're following Gemma. She's our main girlie. She just broke up with Stuart, so she does this like love spell to erase him from her memory, and she wakes up in like a completely new life that she has to navigate and figure out and decide if she wants to reverse the curse or not. And she's also fallen in love with her best friend because in this new life, he doesn't know her. They're not best friends. So anyway, that's the like general pitch. I am 50% in now. I actually listened to a large portion of this book at work yesterday, which felt kind of weird. I always feel weird like listening to romance audiobooks at work, but it was like the beginning of it, so I was like, okay, it's not gonna like get spicy this early on, which it didn't. I think Gemma's a really fun character to read from, and I love the love interest. Like, I see the chemistry between them. His name is not coming to me at the moment, but y'all know how I am with names. The thing is, I don't mind a friends to lovers romance. Beach Read by Emily Henry, like, that's a great friends to lovers recommendation, and I really did enjoy that book, but I just don't think it's my favorite like pitch for a story because the stakes just don't feel very high, because we already know that these people like each other. We already know that they're compatible with each other, right? So the only stakes that are really existing in there are that, like, if it doesn't work out, it's going to ruin the friendship. But going into a romance novel, we know that that's not going to happen. Dax is the man's name. Okay. I was expecting this to be witchy because it's literally called The Spell's Love. Like, it's witchy, right? These women are not witches. They just randomly find a spell book in their aunt's like shop. Like, she has like a kind of an antique shop or a collectible shop. I'm not really sure what the word I'm looking for is. And they find this spell book, and Gemma's just broken up with what's his face, Stuart, right? And they're like, oh, haha, like, we're all drunk. Let's just like try this spell. But they're not actually witches. So this is not the fall coded romance that I thought it was going to be. I think this is actually a really great transition book for a summer read into a fall read, and so I guess it's like technically perfect for the season right now, but it's not really what I wanted for this video. Like, I wanted to read a witchy book for this video, and there's no magic in here. There's no urban spice shops. There's no spell casting or cats, or just like, it's not what I thought it was gonna be, and that's okay. It's not making it bad. It's just like not what I was expecting, and I feel like if you're going to make a title as witchy as that, like if we're going to make a witchy pun in the title, we should have some witchy things going on in the book. You know what I mean? Basically, the relationship development between Emma and Dax is like pretty heavily focused on in here. Like, we don't get a lot of other outside discussions, which is always a little bit annoying to me in a romance because I feel like that makes it get repetitive quickly. And I'm just past the 50% mark, and I am starting to feel that. Like, the thoughts that the characters are having about each other are getting really repetitive. The actions and the dates dates that they're going on are kind of getting repetitive. There hasn't really been any spice up to this point, but I'm sure that when that happens, that's also going to get repetitive. And so I don't know, that's like my big issue with a friends to lovers romance situation, is I just feel like there's not enough stakes to make the plot interesting enough if we don't branch outside what our main topic is and discuss other facets of each of the characters' lives. I'm kind of predicting that maybe Gemma isn't gonna want to go back to her old life because she's falling in love with Dax again in this timeline, and originally it's just so that she can get close enough to him to convince him to kiss her, because that was like the last step of the spell in the original timeline that we started in, or the original life, the original world, whatever. When she wakes up, she is no longer friends with Dax. They don't really know each other, so she has to figure out a way to like basically date him to convince him to kiss her to revert back to her old life if they redo the spell. So that's kind of the whole pitch, but the thing is, like, it's just kind of starting to drag. So anyway, I'm gonna finish it this afternoon. Hey, I finished This Spells Love, but first I want you to look at my smoothie because it's just so pretty. The whipped cream is kind of ugly on the top. I usually don't put whipped cream on a smoothie, but I just like wanted a sweet treat, so this is what we're doing. It has my farmer's market honey berries and raspberries and a banana and some yogurt and some oat milk, and usually I put chia seeds in my smoothies, but I forgot this time. Haven't tried it yet. We're gonna do a taste test right now. That's so good. That's a lot sweeter than I was thinking it was gonna be, because honey berries are definitely kind of sour, if you will. Like they're not, I don't know how to explain it. Why is this fruit so hard for me to talk about? Like, I would say they're like a little bit more sour than a raspberry, but they're not like a sour fruit, if that makes sense. But anyway, this is really good, so I'm excited to drink this in 5 seconds after we talk about the book. I will say the resolution of this book was really, 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 really cute, and I appreciated Gemma's character growth as a person. I will say she is the most unobservant character that's ever existed. Like in her new timeline, or her switched life that we follow for most of the book, Dax is very clearly like struggling so hard financially, and he's like constantly stressed about money, and she just like doesn't have any idea. And I mean, I guess it's because his life is relatively the same. Like he is doing the same thing and he's owning the same business in this new timeline. So she just like assumes that his business is successful in this timeline, but it's very clearly not. And even as the reader, after like one conversation that they had that wasn't even on the topic of money, like I could absolutely tell what was going on with him. And Gemma just like doesn't realize, because she is so self-centered on her own life. And like I kind of love that for her. Hold on, the cat is just like eating my plants off my desk. Stop that, please. But Gemma's just very self-centered, and again, that's like, I didn't mind reading from that. Like I thought she was a fun character to read from, but like she's also just kind of stupid when it comes to being observant of her surroundings. So that was a little frustrating at times. And then also it did go kind of the direction that I was expecting it to go. Gemma does have character growth, and she kind of chooses the option that better suits her loved ones than suits her in the end, even though that's a decision that she really has to grapple with. But as for leading up to that conclusion, we really did get into that kind of repetitive nature where the same conversations continue to happen between the characters. Gemma continues to kind of be unobservant and inconsiderate of both her family members and Dax, and we don't actually really get to follow the family members. We don't get to spend time with them specifically. We just get to see them through Gemma's eyes as she's being very inconsiderate of their needs. She's definitely giving youngest child energy, and I'm allowed to say that because I am the youngest child in my family. I'm also the oldest child. I'm an only child, but I feel like that gives me the right to say that she is definitely giving like spoiled baby energy and just like aloof to her surroundings and what other people may need. The cats are really just going crazy right here. Let me just rotate you a touch. Just wild. Tinkerbell, what are you doing? What are you doing? Overall, giving this like 2.5 stars feels right. The beginning was cute, the middle was boring, the end was cute. didn't do anything revolutionary. Honestly, it was trying to be funny, but was not funny. And I just feel like the writing maybe was not as stylistically diverse as it could have been. Like there are a lot of phrases that the author repeats often. I just found that sort of irritating from a reader's standpoint. So anyway, that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry we didn't end on more of like a fall coded note. I was kind of looking through Libby yesterday to see if I could find another witchy romance that I could just get really quickly to wrap up this video, but all of them have like a 6-week wait, so not really vibing with that. Didn't want to read anything on my Kindle. Like this was an audiobooks only vlog, and that's the only way that I was going to be able to fit it into my schedule. Oh my god. But at the same time, I feel like this was a good way to like wrap up the month of August and a good way to transition into like full fall reading, if that makes sense. So thanks so much for supporting my channel, for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in another video soon.